Hello, friend. Jim here with JB's Big Adventure, coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. On today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the pros and cons of living here in Chapala, Ajijic, Lake Chapala. Now, I've had the good fortune of talking to quite a few individuals to basically compile a list, and along with what my wife and I have actually felt about being here and the pros and the cons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the cons first. And the reason being is because of the fact the pros is such a much larger list than the cons. I want to go ahead and just get the cons out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to number these and just kind of let you know exactly. It's not necessarily in kind of an order, but what I just want you to do is kind of numbers wise, I'm going to share that with you. So let's go ahead and get started. So number one, it happens to do with the cobblestone roads. Now, I'm going to talk about Upper Ajijic and Lower Ajijic. The reason being is Upper Ajijic is anything above the Carretera, which is the main highway that goes through Lake Chapala, being Ajijic and Chapala. So when you go below the Carretera towards the lake, these cobblestone roads are made up of larger rocks along with being in cement. It's the older part of being around Lake Chapala. Now, they're uneven. So when you're walking, you've got to make sure you're kind of watching down, looking at your feet so you don't twist your ankle. So one of the reasons that somebody told me it was a con, because of the fact that you can't bring a wheelchair here, it's very, very difficult to walk. There's not a whole lot of sidewalks. So that is something that someone had mentioned being a con. I had a couple of people tell me that. Okay, number two are the topes, or they're called speed bumps, just like you have in any other city in the States. Now, what they do is they have these speed bumps, one right after another. So you could go pretty slow over them, and they're not, big, huge speed bumps, but they're enough that you can actually feel them on the car as you're driving over them. So the speed bumps, and they have quite a few of them out and around. So the speed bumps. Okay, number three, when you go to below the Carretera, there's going to be noise. Now, the noise is from a lot of different places. It can be dogs barking. It could be roosters crowing. It could be music. The Mexican people are very festive. So they're into getting together and partying. And there are the noise concerns that some folks have of being all the time and it being something that's consistent. So the noise. The fourth is the mosquitoes, the cockroaches, and the gnats. Now, I'll share with you that we were here towards the drier part of the year, which is like the end of May, June. And what we found out was, see, there's one of the flies right there. So when it's the wet time of the year, which means it rains at night, the following day you can see mosquitoes around because they like to be where the humidity's at. So they become something that's just kind of a pest. Now, it isn't like that everywhere you walk, they're right there, but they are huddling around where there's been maybe grass has been watered and those kind of things. And you can get some repellents and those kind of things for them, but some felt that. And the cockroaches, there are not a whole lot of them, and normally they come out more towards the wet part of the year. And so one of the things that I would say to you as I'm chasing the flies all the way is the fact that these are things that just happen some parts of the year. It isn't something that they're always out migrating by any means. The fifth is down below the Carretera, going towards the older part of Mexico, which is a lot where the parties and the festivities and parades are at. You might find road closures. And so sometimes if you're living down in the lower area of Ajijic, what can happen is because of this, there's a lot of cars. And because that there's homes going down in those areas and a driveway, well, basically a door that goes into a garage, what ends up happening is they can get blocked. So some talk about they don't like the fact of people parking in front of their garage door or parking on the street or blocking the street because of a parade and such. Now, I understand the Mexican demographics and what they like here, but what I would just say to you is the fact that it's just one of those things, just depending on what kind of a person you are. I mean, it doesn't really bother us just because of the fact it's Mexico. So there. Number 7. Some have said that it's too slow of a pace for them. There are those that have come from the States, and they've always been on the move. And so when they come here, it's a lot more relaxed and laid back. If you're expecting things to happen fast here in Mexico, I will just tell you from someone else who's lived fast-paced life, it's somewhat difficult to get used to, because just realizing that it doesn't matter where you're at, there's things that go slower. And it's just realizing that, hey, we come here to basically retire. So in fact, that's something that if you're somebody that has to go all the time, just realize it might be a little bit difficult. And you might see it as a con, but you also might see it as a pro, just because the fact we come to Mexico to retire. So it is more slow pace. All right, number 8, municipal services. Now we're talking about gas, we're talking about water, we're talking about electricity. There are times when some of those are actually out. Gas is done here by propane tanks. Sometimes it runs out, and if you're renting, the owner has to get another one of those tanks or gets it refilled. Sometimes the water goes out. And so there's just some things that, because it's Mexico, those things can be of, I'm not going to say a problem, but an inconvenience. Number 9 is the police presence. Now, you see them around, but you know they don't get paid a whole lot. And sometimes you can really see that being the case because of the fact that they are, they're trying to do the best that they possibly can with what they've got. Now, I look at it as being a positive thing because of the fact that they're wanting just to keep Ajijic and Chapala nice and safe. And so I see it as a positive thing with them having their presence here. So that's something that possibly be a plus for you also. The 10th is traffic. Now, when you're going down the carretera, it doesn't matter if you're going to the west or going towards the east. What ends up happening is there can be traffic. The majority of the traffic is during, prime drive times, which is going to be basically in the evening, and some in the morning, and also on the weekends, because it becomes that there's a lot of those from Guadalajara that come here to kind of get away from the hustle bustle of life, and they come here to relax. So the traffic, some might see that. I'm from, Southern California and places where it's fast. So being here, there isn't a problem with realizing that this is not like the traffic on any of the main highways. Here, they don't know what real traffic is. So it's just something, again, just to kind of be aware of. And it doesn't become a big deal unless you make it a big deal. And it shouldn't be much of a big deal because, again, it's Mexico. So those are the cons. And what I would say in telling you is I want to tell you the pros now, because these are really the reasons why 15 to 20,000 expats have moved here to Lakeside, is because of now these pros. First, we're going to start with is the weather. Now, the weather here is the number 2 best climate in the world per National Geographic. Now, it's like a continual spring. The average temperature is between 68 and 72 degrees. What's nice is even if it rains at night, in the morning it might be a little bit cloudy, but once you get a little bit towards the noon and all, it's all blue sky, just like it is today. So that isn't a big deal because of the fact that it's beautiful, and the rain actually is a nice thing to sit and just listen to. So the weather itself is absolutely stunning to be here. A continual spring. I mean, if you like that kind of weather, you're going to love Lake Chapala. Number 2 is the proximity to an international airport. We're only about a half an hour away from the Guadalajara airport, and it only takes about a 3-hour flight to go from Guadalajara to, let's say, for example, San Diego, California, or getting to Arizona, or to New Mexico, or even to Texas. So with a half-hour drive, you can be in the States within about 3-hour time. Number 3, the low cost of living. Now, this is one of those things that a majority of people come here to retire, because their money can go a lot farther. And as we're living here, it can be a better way of life and a better quality of life. So that's also one of the number one pros on this. Now, to live here, you're able to live on between 1/3 and 1/2 less cost here than it is in the States. So that's also a big benefit of just realizing that it doesn't take all the money like in the States to be able to live here. There are apartments here for rent that are as low as $300 a month. And some of those include all utilities. So it's just doing some due diligence. If you're planning on moving here, do that. But as I say, the low side is about $300 and the high side could be pretty much, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month for a lot larger house. The fourth is medical insurance. The medical and dental care here is probably, I would say, even 1/4 to 1/2 of what it is in the States. And what I find interesting here is the medications and the help, the medical and dental help, is so inexpensive. You can go more often, just making sure that you're getting your checkup and such. If you need to get prescriptions, you can do that. But here's what's really interesting that I've found. One of the medications I take is $1,200 a month. To buy that same medication here in Mexico, it's $95. That's a big difference. So, and what I find is there's only one medication I take that requires a prescription. The majority of prescriptions, I should say the majority of pharmaceutical, medication that we take does not require a prescription at all. So that's pretty interesting, but it's also a plus. The fifth is access to healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables. Now, you can get a lot of those on a Wednesday because there's a farmer's market that takes place in Ajijic. You can get them there, but you also see them all around on the roads where they've got little tiny shops along the side that they're actually selling, berries and tomatoes and watermelon and all kinds of fresh fruits and vegetables. That's a real plus too, because when you go there and get it, it's fresh today. It isn't something that you're wondering if Walmart's had these tomatoes for a long period of time, or if they've had these bananas for a long period of time. You're getting things that are really fresh. And a lot of items are actually grown here around the lake on top of that. Number 6, there is a large, as I mentioned to you, there's a large community of expats, which are U.S. and Canadian citizens. I mentioned to you earlier, 15 to 20,000 of them. So it's a way of making new friends. And you see them all over the place. And what I find is it's nice seeing somebody else that is, from the States, because we get talking to individuals all the time. We're down on the Malecon talking to folks. And it's nice to know that there's really a strong expat community because they came here for the reasons that we came here too. Okay. Number 7, very, very friendly and hospitable Mexicans. It's pretty amazing. And here's what even impressed me even more. They're really hardworking. I mean, I've seen them cleaning things. I've seen them sweeping. There's things that they do that, in America, you would say, man, that's hard work. That's way too much for me. But they're really hardworking. They do conscientious work. I've spoken to folks that have actually had, remodeling done and things done, and they do tremendous work, and they really, really work hard. Great people to be around. Number 8 is the public transportation. There are buses that go all the way from each side between Chapala, Ajijic, and even into Guadalajara. They're going back and forth all the time. Also taxis. So if you're looking at moving here and transportation is a difficult thing for you, you'll find out that here lakeside, there's not a problem with transportation because they're going all the time. And I'm going to say we can drive a mile or 2 miles from here and see 2 or 3 buses going by. That's how often it takes place. And we see that the taxis are always around too. Very, very simple and very inexpensive to take a bus or a taxi if in fact you're coming and you're not going to have a vehicle here. There's a great way of getting transportation. Number 9, the restaurants. Now, if you like Mexican food, you're going to love the Mexican food here in Mexico. It's delicious. It's great tasting, great flavor. And because you can also sit, there's a lot of restaurants you can sit outside. It's just a great ambiance that brings to your meal that you can be doing and eating outside where it's a blue sky, or you might be underneath a patio. Beautiful, beautiful to be able to eat outside. So the restaurants are a phenomenal choice and one of the top things that's a real pro. Another is the slower pace of life, as I mentioned earlier. There's folks I've talked to that they come here for the slower pace of life. That's a real positive. So if you're coming here to retire and relax and take it easy, you're going to love Lakeside here at Lake Chapala. Another is if you like nature beauty, it's incredible here. The flowers, like they're always in bloom. It's all green. There's a lot of rain here, so what it does, it keeps everything green. And going all the way from the upper part of Lake Chapala, Ajijic, all the way down to the lake. Green, it's beautiful. If you like pets, there are dogs all over the place. You'll see horses, you'll see cattle, you'll see donkeys. Just as you're traveling around, somebody, they're on horseback going down the street on a certain path that they're able to go down. It's amazing. So if you like nature and it's something that you really find yourself being a part of, you're going to love Lake Chapala. Now, the 13th thing is I was mentioning to you about the farmer's market, about the fresh produce. And when we go there, it's really busy. And there is traffic, and it's important if you want to go there and be there early so you can get a parking spot, that would be a great thing to do. But it isn't just fruits and vegetables. There's actually a market, and it goes quite a far down in regards to the distance. And they got all kinds of things. I mean, they're selling fruits and vegetables and nuts and grains and chicken and beef and all kinds of things that are sold there. And there's some that even make food there that you can eat there as well. Okay, number 16. Actually, number 15 is, as I mentioned to you, about the wildlife. And I say wildlife, I'm talking about, dogs and horses and such. And it's really neat to know because you realize you're in a place, it's kind of like serene because it fits in with who Mexico is all about. So that's also a great thing and a plus of being about Lake Chapala. Now, here's the bottom line. 15 to 20,000 expats can't all be wrong. This is a unique place with a great opportunity for a relaxed life. And you can live well here too. It's not a place where you're going to find a lot of expense. As I'd mentioned before, Forbes magazine said that they did a study on the lakeside of Lake Chapala and found out that the average meal, full meal, is only $6. And I will tell you, you come here and you eat the restaurants, you're going to love what you find. I've also got another video I'm going to share with you. I'm going to put the link down below in regards to the 15 best restaurants that we've been to. I'll make sure you get a chance to see in that video. So as I said, I'll leave it down in the comments below. Now, there's lots of concerts, and there are parades, and there are activities, and things to do, and groups to be a part of, and clubs to join. So I will tell you, it's a place to come, but you can literally do things that you really enjoy doing. And they don't just happen once, they're things that happen all the time. So I really believe that if you came to Lake Chapala, you won't want to leave. And I really hope that talking about the pros and the cons for you has been of value, has been a benefit, maybe kind of clears some of the questions that you might have about living at Lake Chapala. Now, if you like the information I shared with you, and you haven't already, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe. On top of that, I'd love to see comments from those that are viewing our videos. And if there's things that you'd like to see, I'd love to have you let me know what those are. I'll do my best to make sure there's a video on it for you. If you'd like, you can give me a thumbs up. And also, you're not going to want to miss any of my upcoming videos. You're not going to want to miss them. I'd like to encourage you to hit the bell. And all I say is this. For now, have an awesome day. We'll see you on the next video.